All right, guys, what's going on? Levi Trumbull here. So today we're going to be talking about a poll that has the Republican base very fired up and excited as it relates to the 2024 general presidential election. Perhaps you have seen this poll recently. This is the Washington Post CBS presidential election poll for 2024. It was released on September 24th, and the poll puts Donald Trump roughly 10 points ahead of Joe Biden in 2024. Now, as you can imagine, this obviously has the Republican base, GOP, very fired up. That would be a landslide in 2024, clear as day. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my opinion of this poll in general. And then after that, I'm going to tell you what I think is a better surveying measurement and what is a better tool for finding out where the American people sit at on this issue. Now, I want to be clear that, polls can be wrong. They have been wrong many times before. And if you are somebody who does not place a lot of stock or a lot of weight inside of polls, you have every reason to not. I mean, they're wrong. They have been wrong. And being skeptical of them, I think, is just par for the course in politics these days. So take nothing for granted, but I want to, we'll talk more about that in a minute. So my opinion as it relates to this poll right here, this Washington Post CBS poll that puts Donald Trump 10 points ahead of Joe Biden, my personal take on it is that I think it is an outlier. I think it is very fair to say that the poll that you're seeing here that was just conducted is a complete outlier. I think that's fair and that's based in reality. I'm not saying that I think that the poll is flawed or perhaps inaccurate. I'm not saying that, but I certainly do think it is an outlier. I think that it very well may represent the way a group of people at a particular time thought, but I revert back to point one that I think it is an outlier. So while I think that this is perhaps an outlier poll as it relates to the 2024 general election between Trump and Biden, I am going to tell you guys what I do think is a better measuring stick for where I think the country is at and how the country changes on these issues during the political season. So the tool that I think is important to use is Real Clear Politics. So if you're unfamiliar with Real Clear Politics, what they do is they take all of the polling from all of the different surveyors and they put them together throughout different times. It's in chronological order, and they basically run a spreadsheet on all the polls. So the first one that you're going to see here is the 2016 general election. Of course, Trump and Clinton. When you look at this spreadsheet, we'll see it right here. We see that Clinton dominated, was the clear choice for the 2016 presidential election. You see that the final spread, the Real Clear Politics average, was that Clinton was up 3.2 points in the polls based on all the. And when you look at Bloomberg, The Economist, LA Times, Fox News, CBS, you see Clinton just throughout the campaign season of 2016 just absolutely dominating. You see all these blue, that is all Clinton, up 6, up 12, up 13, up 10, up 3. It's just Hillary Clinton was the clear choice for president in 2016, right? I mean, you can see that from looking at this Real Clear Politics spreadsheet. But of course, what happened in 2016? Clinton did not win. Did not win in this fashion. Trump beat her. Trump won this election, right? So this was flawed. These polls were flawed. So these are out the door. These polls are just out the door, flawed, good for nothing, worthless. This has Clinton up 3 points. Okay? Trump won the election. Now, you take a look at the 2020 general election utilizing Real Clear Politics spreadsheet. Again, I want to look at that number. Clinton was up 3.2 in 2016. In 2020, Biden was up 7.2. 7.2. Look at the poll. Again, look at these polls. Biden's up 10. Biden's up 10. He's up 11. He's up 8. He's up 12. You know, unbelievable. As much as 14. Look at Biden's up 14. You know, so, yeah, and you have one poll, legitimately. You scroll down and you legitimately have one poll out of the hundreds and hundreds of polls taken that puts Trump up by one. September 9th. I don't know what year that is, but as you can see, Biden was significantly up in the 2020 general election. Now, as you know, obviously, Biden won that election, but he didn't win that election in the smoking gun fashion in which you would have predicted it based off of the polls. Remember, the 2020 election was close, right? It took multiple days, I believe almost up to a week, for that election to be called. So it was not a smokeout show as the polls might have had you believe. You know, that election could have went probably any way. You know, that election came down to a very finite number of votes in a very finite number of states. So Biden didn't blow that election away, right? Now, you see 2016, Clinton's up. Trump wins. You see in 2020, Biden is up way more than Clinton ever was, but yet Biden narrowly wins the presidency. I think it's fair to say that he narrowly wins the presidency. Now let's look at the real clear politics for 2024, the rematch between Trump and Biden. We see that Trump is up 1.1 points, but that's just at this current moment in time, right? So let's look at all of the data that we're about to see from all of the different polling. We have a much different picture of polling for the 2024 election than we ever did for the 2020 and 2016 elections. We see, when we look at these polls, that Trump is leading at different points, at different times, significantly more than Biden, right? I mean, you see by looking at these polls that Donald Trump has outperformed Joe Biden in many of these polls at many different periods in time as it relates to the upcoming election. And that's just a fact. All right, you see it here. Trump's up 10, Trump's up 13, Trump's up 6. Now, of course, some could argue that these numbers are sort of split, and perhaps that's true to a degree. But the end result is, as of this current moment in time, Trump is up. Okay? Trump is up. And not only is he up, but it's fair to say that he would be up right now significantly more than what we're even seeing in this polling. Again, if we look at 2016, Trump was down significantly, right? Down significantly, and he wins, okay? We have 2020, Trump is down, but narrowly loses. Down by a lot and narrowly loses. In this poll, for 2024, when you do the spreadsheet from all the polls, Trump is actually up. But if we apply the same rule that we applied to 16 and 20, then for 24, Trump would have to be significantly up, right? So this is what I look for. And this is where the good news starts to come in if you're a Republican wanting to get Trump back in office in 2024. In my mind, this is what you pay attention to. You don't look at any one particular poll that was taken at any one particular time. I think Real Clear Politics does the best that they can do, right? They take all of the data and they put it into a spreadsheet. That's pretty much all you can do if you're looking for the most accurate of results, right? But even still, it's the Trump effect, right? where the Trump voter, they don't pick up the phone to talk to the pollsters, right? They don't do it. They don't talk about it. They don't want to openly put out there that to the world that they are voting for Trump. So it is that Donald Trump effect. So if you have a position or a situation where you have Donald Trump in the polls up by 1 point, 2 point, a half a point, whatever it may be, then you are looking at what I think would be a significant victory in 2024 for the 45th president, who would also become the 47th president at that point. So I'm very analytical, you know. I wouldn't call myself a numbers guy. I was never good at math, but these numbers make sense to me, and I think this is a good way to analyze data. And I think that the RCP does it very well. So as it relates to that ABC, I'm sorry, not the ABC, the CBS Washington Post poll that puts Trump ahead 10 points as it relates to Biden, I wouldn't put much stock into it. However, when you look at the data for 2024, it's promising as it relates to Donald Trump. And if you're a Democrat in this election, you know, what you got to do is you probably got to put up a candidate who can outperform Biden, because Biden, you know, they think age is an issue. They think he's poor on the economy. There's a lot of issues. You guys are familiar with it. That will perhaps be another video where we'll talk about why it is Biden is not performing so hot as it relates to the 2024 general election. There would be a lot of things that we could talk about, but just generally speaking, right now, the numbers are promising. If you're in the Republican tent, or if you are on the Republican side of things looking to get Donald Trump reelected as the 47th president of the United States. So that's what I think about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that I was able to share some useful analytical information with you guys. Levi Trumbull in Frederick, thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon in the future. Take it easy.